Contract manufacturing over the last 100 years. Contract manufacturing has been in existence for many years, through good times and bad, and always remained a predominant role in the industry of serving OEMs, original equipment manufacturers, with quality products at lower prices than OEMs cost. Major internal and external factors have tried to disrupt the industry but failed because mathematics prove that the concept of outsourcing, when done carefully and correctly, has unmatched rewards compared to completing the work in-house. The Great Depression, multiple recessions, the Industrial Revolution, the Technological Revolution, numerous standards relating to quality, and the increased global competition hasn't changed the original model of outsourcing production once the part is designed. These factors change the competition, force companies to fail and go bankrupt, or catapult some companies forward, but they don't change the flow of business from OEMs to contract manufacturers. My father owns a small business in New Hampshire, Westbell Electronics, which distributes wire and cable products and manufactures wire assemblies that eventually end up in electronic devices and appliances for OEMs. We don't engineer the harnesses to work electronically. Instead, the customer, such as General Electric, will send us a CAD drawing of the exact dimensions they need, and we create it as a contract manufacturer. However, my research has shown that contract manufacturers in recent years are starting to compete more in research and development work to support the demands of their customers, OEMs, which will eventually force the competition to soon do the same or be left behind in the future. Quote, "Many manufacturing firms need to learn new techniques and strengthen their research and development ability by different ways because there are many competitors, technology changes very quickly, and consumers like to purchase new products." End quote. Reference Tung Shan, 2016. In a 2001 Outsourcing World Summit study, the top reasons for outsourcing are to focus on core, improve quality, increase speed to market, foster innovation, conserve capital, and reduce costs. I chose this domain because I'd like to grow my father's company into multiple locations throughout the USA long after he leaves. I already read one of the books in this class called Unleashing Your Entrepreneurial Potential by Raghu Nandan, which describes the difficulties of growing past one location that is in complete control of the owner. The author wants to change the fact that many Indian companies, quote, "die along with the old man," end quote. I plan to use the following research to dig deeper into that scenario, no matter the origin, so that I can overcome this issue. My father has his mentality, which comes out in his personality when I discuss a second location in California or even down the street. By proving that contract manufacturing is not only a proven concept that has lasted hundreds of years, but a concept that is in fact gaining popularity, I will be able to use that information to grow my father's business when he leaves. Everything in the world works on continuous improvement, by improving every aspect of a business, starting with cost reduction before the customer requests it, preparing for environmental changes, industrial changes, and also preparing for the latest technology before the direct competition. Certain factors disrupt industries in certain ways, like when machines changed how farms operate, or how technology changed how humans communicate, or how the Great Depression changed how careful we conduct business and account for money. Most farms, newspapers, and phone books have nearly gone obsolete unless they bought the proper machinery or brought their newspaper online. Businesses must overcome these factors and turn them into positive aspects of the company so that it will catapult them forward instead of stopping them in their tracks. Great Depression and multiple recessions. If we all knew what caused recessions and Great Depressions, we'd avoid them, but it's a phenomenon that we cannot avoid, as it relates to human emotions and behaviors. When times are tough, businesses try to cut costs, cut middlemen, buy cheaper, lay off employees, and sell assets. When times get tough, we blame others, make strange decisions, get selfish, and watch our emotions get the best of us. The Great Depression started about 100 years after the 100-year-long Industrial Revolution, so some might say that the two were interrelated. It's possible that the transfer of jobs from working in fields to working on machines, or from making clothes to designing and innovating machines, could have been a strong reason that so many people were out of work. and that education and training in new subjects was too hard of a concept to grasp for those titles that had gone extinct. No matter what theory one believes, there's no question that the Depression disrupted normal flow of business and created selfish tendencies and disrupted it even more. At first glance, an OEM might decide to bring contract manufacturing in-house to reap the benefits of additional profits in which the contract manufacturer is currently making. The OEM could simply buy a few machines and hire a few people to save money during such difficult times. However, no matter who did the math, it couldn't be determined that it was a good business plan to cut the manufacturer. Why? Because horizontal competition is different from vertical competition. Manufacturers sell to distribution, and distribution sell to end users, or things get messy. Automation, quality, process, information, and innovation all change the way that we do business horizontally, along with the recessions and revolutions. When times get tough, vertical change can be a very bad idea that can have long-term consequences with relationships and integrity within the industry. Customer management systems focus on quality manufacturing, packaged solutions, maximize productivity, improve standardization, manage inventory costs, strictly confidential, centralized order tracking, and streamlined workflows. Indeed, contract manufacturing companies made it through the Great Depression, along with the support of their OEMs for a few reasons. First, one contract manufacturer could use one machine and one employee to support multiple OEMs for similar parts. Multiply that by 100 and it gets confusing on the eyes, but the concept doesn't change. The fact that a contract manufacturer can keep the machine running for longer periods of time and keep the same employee working 40 hours a week running the machine can be translated into dollars and cents. Second, running an operation that supports 5 OEMs creates better structure, processes, management, and trains staff to complete jobs faster, on time, and scheduled for the exact delivery. Third, buying equipment, resources, and products in quality for 5 OEMs translates into savings that the OEM couldn't get alone. Finally, the fact that the contract manufacturer owns and replaces their equipment, pays the employees' salaries, and holds inventory until the day of shipment means better cash flow for the OEM. All that said, and considering a fair profit margin for the contract manufacturer, the OEM is getting a better deal through contracting the work than they are by doing the work in-house. The Industrial Revolution had a much bigger impact on contract manufacturers because the world was moving forward, so those that stood still fell far behind. Automation and innovation turned manual labor into machines, people into equipment, and hours into minutes. As contract manufacturers bought new equipment to lower costs, they were able to offer better pricing to their OEM customers. On the other hand, those that didn't buy the equipment due to higher upfront cost started to lose business to those that did have the equipment. New machines were being developed around the world, which created yet another competitive market. Quote, innovation enables companies to respond to customer demands promptly and accurately, and to carry out customer satisfaction management. End quote. Reference Lee, 2016. Inventions were game changers for the contract manufacturers that had to review and determine how much time it would save them and how much of a return on investment it would receive. However, innovations during that time period were another game changer because it was an industrial revolution, meaning that there were new possibilities every day. Each new machine could be used to improve the last machine, or with another machine, hand in hand, which gave the era a compounding or exponential effect. Companies continued to buy the latest in order to stay ahead of the competition, but problems arose from that strategic plan. For instance, buying a machine that will pay itself off in 5 years was a smart decision on day one, however a bad decision when a new and improved machine could be replaced in 3 years. This brings up a tough financial decision of keeping up with the competition compared to waiting 5 years to get a solid return on investment. Fast cars and horses need trained drivers and jockeys. The Industrial Revolution was creating new machines that had never been seen, used, or operated before, which means hiring or training an educated machine operator was yet another challenge to face during this era. Quote, "The innovation era occurred when manufacturing companies enhanced their productivity not only with innovating technologies, but also with management skills, and by making the most of their intellectual property." End quote. Reference Lee, 2016. Lee discusses innovation and automation over a 30-year period between 1980 and 2010 as it relates well with the era of the Industrial Revolution and my father's company, which is currently 28 years old, falling into that time period. Lee digs deep into the key words affecting contract manufacturing such as innovation, automation, cost, energy, environment, information, labor, process, and quality. The technological revolution fits nicely with Lee's research because technology helped create innovation, automation, energy, information, process, and quality, which are most of his key words. This was yet another era of time that focused on contract manufacturers to comply with new standards, invest money, educate themselves, and hold on to a well-trained management staff that could implement new processes and controls. Technology came even faster than machines in the Industrial Revolution, again at a compounding or exponential rate. Technology was quickly used to support more technology, such as using web design software to build a website, or using a graphical user interface to create accounting software, or building the internet with software, tools, and databases. Technology soon created strict demands for contract manufacturers for better quality, faster production times, lower cost, detailed forecasts, produced electronically, online brochures and websites, online purchasing capabilities, e-commerce, and all of the product information online for customers to review without picking up the phone. Before inventory databases were available with a few clicks, it took some time to determine if there was sufficient amount to be sold on a particular day, and those without capabilities soon looked foolish and soon became non-existent if they didn't adhere to the new era of technology. By this point, Westbell Electronics was in business, founded in 1988 and adhering to the changing times of innovation, automation, technology, quality, and controlled processes. Some of their customers were demanding that they adhere to vendor standards, so they did, and they repeated that mentally across the rest of their customers as well. With customers like GE, General Electric, on their list, it can be easy to foresee changing times because the demands from GE come before the advertising on television and long before other customers' demands as well. For instance, Westbell needed to become ISO 9001 certified to remain a vendor of GE. They had to create 5 to 7% cost savings every year for GE by innovating, and they had to have updated information readily available at all times. It's easier to believe in a new era when Fortune 500 companies are already on board, and it's comforting to know before putting investment dollars into something that might not turn into a new era. So Westbell continued that process and did that with the rest of their customers. Global competition became more of a factor when technology shrunk the world into smaller business atmosphere through the internet, and technology is taking it to another level by creating language interpretation software that will allow for new relationships to develop. Westbell Electronics manufactures wire harnesses and cable assemblies for GE that aren't shipped to GE, but instead get sent to China and Mexico for additional labor at low rates. Contract manufacturers, along with numerous U.S. companies, are losing business to overseas competition, not necessarily due to quality of product, but for cheap labor rates. Westbell didn't exist before the Great Depression or Industrial Revolution, But even if they did, I doubt they would have just sat back and watched themselves wither away while the competition grew. Quote, contract manufacturing can be a game changer in a double sense. Not only does it serve as a trajectory to full development in late industrialization, but it makes those economies housing this industry to the catalyst transforming regional or global trade and development in spite of their size and economy. End quote. Anchi, 2012. Sometimes recessions and depressions are so bad on the companies that they need to invest money to remain stagnant, but at least they aren't falling behind. It's becoming harder to get orders that used to be common. It's getting harder to keep customers, and it's getting more competitive in general because there's more players in the game. How can the US compete with such low labor rates? First, by offering a more quality product with a proven process that guarantees quality more often. Since lean manufacturing has become more prominent with just-in-time deliveries, quality becomes more necessary because production downtime is one of the most expensive things a company needs to cover. Imagine buying 1 million parts from China at a bargain price only to find an error. Not that China is more prone to making errors, but the logistics of shipping the parts back to be reworked could take weeks to fix. Quote, many original equipment manufacturers, OEMs, use contract manufacturers to produce parts or even entire products. These businesses demand accuracy, a competitive price, and a prompt delivery, sometimes on the same day the order is placed. End quote. Mori, 2011. There's an opportunity for competitive advantage. Be close, be lean, be quick, and never undermine the quality control processes. Quote, following the lead of Allen and Meghem forthcoming, we consider the U.S. OEM outsourcing production to two contract manufacturers with complementary profiles, a low risk but low margin local manufacturer, e.g. in the U.S. or Mexico, and a high risk but high margin overseas manufacturer, e.g. in China. End quote. Su, 2015. A second way Westbell has proven to win business from companies with low labor rates is automation and innovation. Some projects and contracts from GE and large OEMs are so big they warrant their own research and development, innovation, and automation tactics. Literally, one-of-a-kind equipment designed specifically for certain jobs that require cost savings year over year. OEMs don't just arbitrarily request cost savings, they expect their contract manufacturers to continuously improve their operations and pass a piece of the cost savings along. If you're not improving and not lowering costs, then you won't be worthy of playing in the big leagues or perhaps even in the minor leagues. A final competitive way to win business in the global market is relationships. That doesn't mean that a friend of a friend will give you any contract for any price. A well-developed relationship starts with research of the company, location, and board members. When dealing with global clients, it will be important to conduct business with their nationality and heritage in mind. Will there be 15 minutes of chit-chat before discussing business, or will the meeting get started upon arrival? Will the meeting be held in an office or over dinner? Should you wear something specific or speak a certain way or bring certain materials? Creating the relationship allows you to understand something before it happens, like for instance when your spouse lets out a big sigh and you quickly pick up on the body language. Quote, he's my friend, I should have been awarded the contract, end quote. No, that's never the case, but instead, quote, he's my friend, so I understand exactly what he needs and I'm going to make sure that I win this contract, end quote. In conclusion, there are many factors that affect contract manufacturers over time, whether it be horizontally, vertically, internally, externally, locally, or globally. Companies don't just fail because of what happens in the world or how the competition seems to be perfect in every way like your neighbor's grass, but instead it's how we react to those factors without letting them crush us. How do we use them to our advantage? We embrace innovation, automation, process, quality, control, energy, and information and improve them every day. Some sayings have been used for so long that they start to be overlooked, but every dollar counts. Practice makes perfect, and baby steps climb mountains. And finally, most people overestimate what they can do in a day and underestimate what they can do in a year.